I've been, well, pretty much following Alex in his footsteps in the trading. So I'm actually just I've been in the simulator for quite a while now.
That's good.
Yeah, so I'm just in the sim trying to figure stuff out. I haven't ever gone live on anything really. So I'm just trying to log trades and yeah, trying to figure this out.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good that you're sorting in a paper money account because obviously you can learn a lot better and for a lot cheaper. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I've been
Also,
trading
kinda
in small size for like, I don't know, like 6 months. And then I slowly increased size, which was also smaller size. And now I'm still with small size relatively, but you know.
yeah, I just need to go green really. I'm too inconsistent and I'm barely hitting green, so it's not really working, but I'm clawing my way up.
Yeah, so if I can remember correctly, Alex wanted to specifically talk about context-based setups and currency. I cannot remember, but you did have something that you have in prepared, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have some things I want to share as well, but Alex can go first if he wants.
Yeah, but I don't know if
All right.
SF comes. I don't know where he is. I thought he had come. He also did react to my initial message, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll
he
probably
said
make
he'd
it,
be
but
here. Yeah. Yeah, I can start.
Yeah, do it.
So yeah, I've been struggling a little bit with let's if we start with like the hyper scalpers or the hyper scalping strategy, it's like you just enter trades purely based on the price action, and then
Yeah.
on the other side of the spectrum, you have the guys who only trade like the 1 minute setups, and their hold time is longer, maybe more like Ross. They have like an average of 5 minutes holding time, and I'm feeling kind of stuck in between there because I don't want to trade purely based out of price action. But I on the other side of the spectrum, I don't want to trade the 1 minute setups with 5 minutes holding time because I can't allow that big of a risk. So I've that's what I spoke with.
All of us left
Yeah,
call.
yeah, exactly. And so today we've actually had a call, me and my friend Adam, on what areas are interesting for taking trades in, and we tried to define those specific areas, and we got some criteria down on what should be fulfilled before the first trade is allowed to happen, and when do we stop trading them, because a problem that I have, which is a very hard one to get rid of, is I trade the front side very well. I get some nice profits, and then I give everything back when it starts to become choppy. So, and that's completely unacceptable. So yeah, we've been trying to figure these areas out to be 100% like systematic about when do we stop trading, basically.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you're talking about different types of traders, right? Dependent on like hold
Yeah.
times and what they use in their trading. I wanted to add upon that because the thing is at least in my experience, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Um,
Yep.
let me find it real quick. Window. Here we go. All right, are you guys able to see that pane? That
Yes,
Yep.
window
we
I have
do.
open. So, in my experience, we have different. Like, let me draw out this chart real quick. So, in my experience, we have small cap stocks with squeeze like this, for example. the different types of traders I see is number one, Roth. Roth would add right here, and then he would sell like right here, very quickly. You know, at least lately, some of his trades have been like this, where it's just like breakouts, and then maybe later he'll try it from here, and then he'll do this, and that's like what Roth does. And the other type of trader is like me, and what I do is I just take every single little dip I can.
Yeah.
And then what I do, I don't hold, I just sell right there. That's like
Yeah.
pretty much my strategy. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't see a lot of people trading my strategy. I see a lot of people trading raw strategy, but there's also another strategy which is just like purely like raw trading. There's a lot of different retail traders trading like raw, so you know they'll take these types of setups and blah blah blah.
Not
But
profitably.
the only
let's
thing
say.
is, I don't see many, in my experience, I haven't met many traders, or barely any, who trade like this. Well, they'll just buy a low, or buy this low, and then they'll just somehow like manage to be able to sell up here or up
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Like I never really see this happen, and I wonder why the reason that is. Like, why doesn't Ruff buy a breakout and end up trying to hold it for the long? Like he doesn't use context in the trading because he found out that instead what he uses, you know, once he gets that certain amount of profit and sees weakness, that's what works for him. But he doesn't incorporate the context-based trading because I don't know why. So why don't you think Roth tries to incorporate like more context-based trading in his strategy?
Mm.
It's a good question. I mean, it kind of depends on. He's basically trading like two different. Two different charts. I mean, he does his 10-second chart. That's what he calls the micro pullback, right? That's when he buys in the middle of a green candle on a 1 minute chart. So it just looks like a big green candle, and he just buys into it, and then he sells like when it shows any type of weakness, as you said. But I've seen sometimes he's holding like through a pullback, like could be down 80 cents, but even on small share size. And sometimes he's selling like really quickly. So I'm not 100% sure why that is. Why he's actually selling faster than he did before, because I know that he had longer hold times before.
Yeah, it's so hard to answer those questions, man. Like and then the main thing that keeps me up on this and like makes me like leave this whole topic alone is no one does what he does profitably. Like not even close. So why even bother? Like I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is,
Yeah, I saw it. You can go.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, I saw and I finally understood what's happening when he's trading these breaking news stocks. Like, so when he buys his first position, the stock is so thin, so the additional volume that's coming in from his followers, it can push the price almost like above 100 cents. In most of the cases, it's enough for him to have his base hit and take the exit. Honestly.
Wow.
I definitely think that his strategy, Ross's strategy, doesn't purely rely on liquidity from his chat room. Obviously, I
No.
remember I forgot.
It's only
I think it was you,
specific
Alex.
setups
Like
that we
you
all
kind of.
know.
Well, what I was gonna say was, it's kind of what you brought up, Alex, from a few days ago when I was trying to bring up that topic. You kind of just gave like a list of like the different things that you thought was associated
Yeah.
with like the trading and everything, and I agreed with it because it was like what you're saying was he when he buys, like his strategy, his alpha doesn't evolve around his chat room. He knows what he's doing. He
Yeah.
buys stocks, and sometimes he takes absurdly massive size. Like I think like 2 days ago or something, he was using 40,000 share size on a $3 stock.
ZOOZ.
I've never seen him do that before. And when I was looking at the volume in a smaller time frame, all like literally he was like a third of the volume, and he definitely moved the stock. Like, and then all his followers jump in right after that, and all the breakout traders hop in after that. So Ross was smart because what he noticed was that in these stocks, without if he didn't if here I'm gonna go back to the journaling thing. So if a stock was like that other stock the other day, and it's starting to come back up, like the thing is was that if Ross didn't buy it right here, then this stock could have easily just went down and doing whatever. But because Ross was a strong buyer and he took 40,000 shares, he pushed it up a little bit. And then guess what? His entire chat room and all the retail traders across the market saw this level being taken down.
Yeah.
What they do, they started buying it up. And then guess what Ross has? He has a bunch of buyers and he's willing just to sell onto them with his 40,000 shares. So his strategy doesn't revolve around the chat room, but he's so experienced that he knows the dynamics of these stocks. So if he's able to buy 40,000 shares, he's not predicting that, just the chat room will help him pump it up, but the entire market of retail traders after the stock. And I think a big part why Ross only, because what you'll notice is Ross mainly trades like this part of the move, and then he trades this. Like that's all he's been doing recently.
Yeah.
Whenever a stock moves, he's either like one of the first buyers, or he's trading it over here for the breakout.
Yeah.
Like that's a big pattern. And if you guys like, do you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
100%.
basically what I'm going to do as well, because that's the most clean patterns.
Yeah, exactly. And
Hey, can I interrupt there? This is Saul.
yeah, go for it.
SF, nice to meet you guys. Finally, we made it.
Yeah, SF is here.
Nice to
Oh.
meet you.
What's up? Nice to meet you, fellas.
Yes,
This is great.
sir.
This is great. This is great. And I love that analysis. I do too have figured out the Ross secret. And it's the wealth effect. He's willing, he's very vocal for since last June. He said we've entered a hot cycle. And then what he does, I think in terms of baits, he's baiting, like he's setting little traps. In a good way, not in a nefarious, malicious way. He baits, right? Like, so what he does is breaking news, quote unquote algo spike, and as Kersey said, sometimes with no flow, and he'll buy 10,000 shares. And he does say something on his recaps which is really, really true. He says, I wait for confirmation that I am right because others are joining. So he's very, very, very specific, looking at the ask and looking at the print on the tape, the color of it. Is it coming directly from the ask? Is this those aggressive buyers who have also noticed the same pattern as I am? And he sees that, and all he does, having the best possible broker a retail trader can have, then he starts sending orders, and then he gets filled. If there's enough volume, he gets completely filled. When he doesn't have enough volume, which like the example you guys were talking about, where he made like $30,000 on the one that was T1 halted in pre-market, he said I wasn't getting filled, so he just kept on pumping orders in on his way up. So it's something that all of us would be doing if we had, what is it, $12 million worth of $1 million of certified earnings in the market. You would too. I mean, like, it's easy, right? Because the guy is a multi-million-dollar person with a multi-billion-dollar business now. So he's got like 4 or 5 different streams of revenue. I mean, like, all he wants to do is 2.5 hours of trading, make, what is it, $30,000 a day, and then life is really good for the guy, and he doesn't need to change a thing, right? Like he doesn't need to. I mean, there's some dips that he buys, but he buys off support. Now, he did say it on the last recap from yesterday. I don't know if you guys heard it. He said, "I'm gonna keep on doing the same right now, buying first and thinking later." Until the cycle finishes, and when the cycle finishes, I know, because I'm gonna have a big loss. So he's ready for it.
No,
He's
that's
ready for it.
incorrect in my opinion about the cycles. I must say what I think. Like the cycle thing that he says, wow, we're in a hot market, that's incorrect. I think I told it already to the guys. In my opinion, it's just Ross evolved as a trader and he's just being good, and he himself, he knows what I'm saying. Like I think like he feels what I'm saying and he just doesn't want to say, yeah, I evolved as a trader. He just, because he is like the politically correct person, he doesn't want to say that. He just says like the market is hot, but we all know it's not true. Like you
No,
can't
but
argue with that.
I actually I agree with you, Ohad. But this is what I think. You can substitute the hot cycle for just saying what's working for him. So he essentially what he's saying, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing until it doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. The cycle hasn't been easy for any of us that use micro scalping, 16 edges, right? Like it's being about the same, kind
Yeah.
of. I mean, like, the P&L keeps on going up. We're making a little more money. Again, and there's a very big distinction, and I don't think Kersey was privy to this conversation. At least the majority of people who talked in this pod before, we were not trading for income. So I only feel like I can size up when everything is perfect. And I've done it. I mean, I've dropped 20,000 shares on a penny. I've bought 5,000 shares of something that is in the 3, whatever. I mean, it's not a matter of being able to drop the size. I just want to be able to be comfortable with myself doing it. And for me, there's very specific edges that work out. And we can go over the list because there's one thing that I truly honestly believe doesn't exist, which is edge decay. And this is a particular topic and very, very near and dear to me because I kind of feel like, I don't even know where it started, but you have some of the biggest retail traders saying that it doesn't exist. It can exist because we're nothing. We're like such a tiny little group of people for the price of a stock that we're not going to move the pivot. So I do want to leave you guys with that thought. What do you guys think of HDK?
Wow, so that's actually so scary in my opinion. I don't know if you're right. I wish you are right, but we all just don't know.
Well, for me, I would say that edge decay is a thing if the people participating are sizing up so much that they're moving the stock. And for me, I became confident enough in my own strategy, where on some penny stocks, if I really like them, I'll end up being, 10 to 20% of the pre-market volume. And that moves the stock. Whenever I buy, whenever I sell, that moves the stock. So as a result, I'm not getting the same profit factor as now as before. But that's not necessarily edge decay. But if I were to, for example, post all my archives for the world to see and tell everyone exactly how I trade, then I think that there's going to be other smaller traders who don't affect my trading, but eventually they're probably going to, if someone gets the hang of it, they could size up like I do, and we could
Yeah.
end up fighting for the same fills. So I think that's what edge decay means for me, and I do believe in that.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in there? So if that would be the case, then you could easily say that Ross would be susceptible to being shorted on if some, like, anticipating his move, like doubling his size and stopping, what he describes as parabolic moves and stuff like that, which we just haven't seen in the last year, right? Now you do bring up a fact that, okay, but what if there is limited availability, liquidity, right? Like what if there's limited liquidity and I just don't get as filled, or I don't feel what my order is? But then that would just be it, right? Like you wouldn't get enough, all the shares you wanted, you would get filled, partially filled. So you wouldn't make as much money in that particular trade, but it doesn't mean it's going to go against you. So I think the HDK situation, because then the same principle would apply for, some other trade. Zabi, for instance, in the chat room. The guy is pushing 30,000 shares in $5 to $7 stock. getting filled and making a buck a pop, making $30,000 round trip trades. So I think there's a little bit personally, and I'm gonna share it with the link because I know what's his name? I put his name up on the other chat today because he talked about HDK on his X page, and he goes in a lot of. Let me see if I can pull it. I may be able to pull it up for you guys. He talks about it very clearly, and he says, Marcus wants us to trade. Marcus, because they're making money from every single angle, order payment for order flow and all that kind of stuff that we talked about.
Yeah.
Do they want to sabotage the trade? That's a little bit of a different question, right? Like, so I think, to me, all of us using the same strategy, all of us looking in the same direction, and then very few on the other side, that creates the imbalance, right? And it's only going to move the position in one direction.
Yeah, but I don't know, because you can actually see guys removing content from YouTube, and you can see that the strategy had become much harder than what it was. Like, Tim in the start of like 2024 had not have a red day since, like, I don't know. He was really consistent, and he didn't even. Tim was a trader that didn't really was mad during his trading sessions, and like since September or August, something like that, he became so angry, and like things were not going in his way. Of course, he is now profitable, and he is still profitable, but market has changed like a lot ever since the TD Ameritrade merger or whatever it was. Market has changed for hyper scalpers, in my opinion.
But let me add something to that, Ohad. Don't forget, these are failing companies' stock that you're trading. So the natural tendency, the magnet, is for them to go to shit. Everybody wants to short this. So what us, the 6 or 7 here, are trying to do, it's actually what we shouldn't be doing. We should be shorting these companies.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
So you could say that it's become harder because the natural tendency of the shit names is gotten stronger. Everybody's shorting. So maybe we should be shorting. But we're not doing it because, in a way, we kind of like what Ross does, especially the 6 of us here, because we will do, pre-market trading. I prefer, because of my schedule and my life balance and all that kind of situation, I prefer to do now pre-market trading. I get a better picture of how things are working out. And if there's a really good name that is moving in a good way, yeah, I'll stick around for a little bit and then be done with it, not depending on it. So I think yes, we can use the very successful stories from the other chat and say, oh, they were having a great time doing it, which is correct. But truly, these names are supposed to, what is it? They reverse split and do an offer, reverse split and do an offer. Apparently this year that's gonna be done. So then people are not gonna be able to short them as bad as they do.
Why?
But really, this is a short seller dominated kind of like environment. So then you could ask the question, why are we not shorting? Now, if you follow Lucas in the other chat, you know that now he's starting to dabble into the shorting world. And I know why he's doing it, because he belongs the Spanish community of traders, like traders from Spain, they're heavy into shorting.
Oh, wow.
So then I'm gonna open up this next subject with another question to you guys, because we're all in different parts of the world and the country. How do you guys see shorting?
In my opinion, like, you should definitely focus on shorting or longing, mainly based on cycles. Like right now, if we knew that market will just slow down like it did in February, if we did try to short, we will be maybe more successful doing it than longing. So it just depends on the cycle. And on the other hand, if we did try to short at December or November or something like that, we will get like wrecked really badly as the other guys did. But it's like I don't know. You can be profitable longing, hyper scalping anytime. The setups are there, but I don't know. Maybe later in my career, when I will develop my long strategy to the max, I will try to add shorting on really slow cycles. But I don't know.
I'm 100% with you. I prefer not to trade if there's nothing. The scanner is dead. No one's talking about anything. You know, live my life, do whatever I'm supposed to do that day, and move on, and then come back the next day. Because we've seen now enough cycles that I don't, I don't want to take the risk of
Blowing out.
doubling down on the short and then all of a sudden blowing up $100,000 because that was the move that I wanted to do, right? I think one of the things that MMU has introduced to me that is key for the microscalping environment, not like this is not, intraday holds or kind of like intraday swings or none of that stuff, right? Like for microscalping is my decisions are made on the 15-second chart, 1 minute chart. There's no way my trade can last 5 minutes, right? I'm entering in a time frame. I'm entering the trade in a time frame. This is not a hold, right? Like there's no, like my decision has to be made within that minute. There's a very specific target. And I'm planning on doing this 350 times in the next 3 hours, right? Because then you're going to start skewing your numbers, right? Like, because again, like the first year of hanging out with these guys, it was just knowing when people say the strategy works. Yeah, but what is the strategy? What is microscalping? And microscalping is that low accuracy, but a bigger profit to loss ratio. And the only way to do that is if you hold your winners a little bit longer than your losers, and then you can be as inaccurate as 48% like Shabby was. Shabby was 48% accurate this last month, but he was holding his winners almost double the time that the losers, and he was making more money, doubling the amount of money on the winners than the losers. That is it. That's exactly what we want to be able to do. Yeah. Now, if Alex has a problem, right? Like he can't do as quickly as we do, and pre-market has that problem too, in that there's no market orders, right? So the execution, I think I haven't looked at my numbers, but I think you're forcing yourself to hold the position a little bit longer. Even though that I may be executing on the 15-second chart, I may have to hold about a minute on the position just because of just given the fact of how the chart is moving, right? I don't have the ability. I've tried. I've even with the offsets, it's hard sometimes to try to sell something when the tape is red. Even if you're trying to sell bid, you don't get filled and the price keeps on dropping, right? So it forces you to hold even longer. And that's when a position goes against you, that's when you start opening up the doors to the big temptations, right? Which is you may want to average down, you end up holding longer, you're doing a revenge trade. Like it doesn't work out, you go out. That's the risk of pre-market trading.
Yeah.
But I love that we're doing this and being super critical about yourself, deadly transparent. This is what I did. This is how much I lost. This is what I executed. This is what worked, what didn't work. To me, alpha would be, hey, Saul or SF, this is what I noticed. This name is doing this. And Kersey and all of you guys have shared here. Ohad does a really good job. No, this is not working. Look at the bid. This is not that is alpha. That is pure alpha. And that is worth money. Like if someone's sharing with me, hey, listen, this is what working. You see that ascending support line, it's working every single time. It's only happened twice so far. I'm ready for the third time. Somebody's giving you a winning ticket, right? Yeah. You see your pattern, you take the trade, doesn't work out, you cut it because you have a very specific risk. But if it works, you're making money off of someone's free idea. And I think that's how a successful pod works. There's no point of me telling you, hey, I bought a position at $1. Won't tell you my share size. The thing runs $10 and I say, oh, I'm selling now half. Okay. So was that a good edge? What
are we doing tomorrow though?
What's that?
What are we doing tomorrow though after the trade that we just took?
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's almost like insulting to me in a way because I'm like, dude, we're like sharing stuff for all of us to grow. If you say, hey, Saul, what you read on that tape or you read on that chart was shit, well, that's helpful too, right? Because then I can work on my read, And I think that's what we've achieved here, right? Like we're very transparent, very honest, very blunt. We just want to be better.
Yeah.
Something we like all of us have shared. Like I asked Ohad, hey, can you help me out with your hotkeys? He sent them right away. If there's anything we need, he sends it right away. And we're all in that vibe. And I think those are some of the ingredients of a very successful pod. Now we can cover way like so many different topics. But I've been doing this long enough to tell you that I know what breaks me. And what breaks me is averaging down. That's why I'm so against it. There is a little bit of room of averaging down when you're mega green on the day and there's a support zone in a higher price stock and you're trading a pre-market in that you're not going to get a market order. And personally, I never buy ask. I know some of you guys do. I kind of feel like I'm chasing, and that's just not me. I gotta wait for a micro pullback and get filled on the bid. That's why I commented with you. If I partially get filled on the bid, but they fill me a little bit, I'm in the process of understanding if it's a good
the stock is
opportunity.
bullish. Yeah.
Exactly. And I've done it a couple of times where I buy ask and it worked, and I'm like, shit, I'm onto something. But I'm here to tell you that a few days ago it didn't work out. Because
so you actually buy the bid, or you're just waiting for like red on the tape?
No. So if I'm buying bid, if I'm entering pre-market, I'm looking for two edges, ABCD pattern, or I'm looking for the cap and handle. And then along the cap and handle, I added the Adam and Eve. If you haven't seen the Adam and Eve, check it out, which is a V correction followed by a curve correction. And it's important because a lot of these penny stocks are doing that, which is a pain in the ass. What does that really mean? They know that we're going to buy the C wave bottom, which is the support, the micro low support. But they don't give it to you right away. They'll drag the bottom longer.
So can you describe again the V? What did you just say?
So if you look it up on your computer, type in Adam and Eve pattern. And it's similar. Oh, hold on. This is from work. So okay, I'm gonna pause for a second. I'll come back in a second, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Kersey, you had something you wanted to talk about today. I think we had an idea about how this call was gonna go, and I mean we can freestyle, but it's important that everyone can say and do what we plan.
They prepared. First of all, you do what we need to do, what everybody did prepare for, and then you can freestyle. That's what you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that's the best. So we were finishing the conversation and we went into talking about role. And I think that, I mean, we can leave it at this. Like, he's been trading since 2009. He's been analyzing the markets for over 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way in hell that he doesn't know or have a perfect understanding of exactly how much his followers are helping him.
An impact,
so
yeah.
all he have to do is look at his chat, see how many in his community that is following him right now, and he can just take a random stock with low volume and test to buy, and he will see the prints on the tape how powerful his boost will be. If I had a community, that's the first thing I would do, and I would position myself. I would build my trading around that, basically, to make sure I can take maximum advantage of the liquidity boost. But yeah, I mean, there's no way that he's not doing that. No way in hell.
No way. Yeah, I agree. Kersey, are you
Percy,
here?
you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I was gonna share when you guys are finished wrapping up.
Yeah, let's go. You can share.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Or let me know if you guys can see that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so this was. Hey, Oed,
Your keyboard is really loud. Oh,
Oh, sorry.
you're going at it over there. You're good. This is the setup yesterday, TRNR. And I tried talking about it in the chat. I talked about it quite a lot. And it was because I don't normally trade like this. I'm like more of a hyper scalper, but TRNR, this is the third day TRNR is doing a little pump. And after all these days, I've been starting to think about myself, like, why is it still rallying? You know, because it was 3 days, 3 entire days of this stock rallying, and what it would do is it would pop up and drop back down, and then for the next day, it would pop back up, drop back down, and it was like a continuous pattern. And I could only assume that this wasn't just retail, small retail like you and me, just raising a stock up and putting it back down, because there's bigger plays here. There's a bigger motive behind this move. Like, that doesn't just happen on your regular small cap stock, or else we would see it more often. We would see more of these small cap stocks randomly, start pumping and then go all the way back down, and then because that normally doesn't happen. So what's happening on this stock? So there's different factor at play than normal, and what I was to believe was that there was some sort of context to be understood here. More than your regular typical $3 stock pumper or $2 stock, whatever it was. And what I saw yesterday in pre-market was, um, this is 7 a.m. right here, okay? So I woke up like over here. And if you didn't know that, I literally wake up straight out of bed and hop on my desk. I don't know if that's good for me, but that's what I do. But I didn't see any of this, obviously. All I saw was up until like here. And when I was looking at the stock, I was like, okay, this is the third day it's pumping. Okay, and we we've successfully pumped, the other past 2 days. It's a grinder. It likes to slowly kind of push up in waves or whatever. And that's what I noticed. So I was like, I know for a fact this is not going to go parabolic. It's a very unlikely chance. And so I knew that it was going to kind of like chop around. And if it did want to go up, then it was probably going to be very range bound. And it was. And what I thought going up until 7 a.m. was like, okay, so on the scanner, this is the only stock that has the potential of, having good hours of pumping, because that's how it was yesterday. There was a bunch of beat down stocks and they looked awful. Their setups were bad. So this was the only stock in the scanner that looked good for the 7 a.m. traders. And what I typically know is that a lot of retail small traders, they're on Schwab and you can't trade before 7 a.m. So, and you can look at the volume. Okay, this is 7 a.m. and there's not much volume right here, and then boom, volume takes off. The volume is higher even when we're downtrending and
yeah.
chopping. And that's because all those retail traders are in. And I believe what happened here was, as this time comes, retail traders are looking for, like, maybe a break above here, but obviously we're selling. We're getting weaker, and if this starts coming down, retail maybe buys that dip back up for a possible turn back up, because they know that this is how this stock trades. It likes to be choppy and rangy. So they bought that up hoping that it would push to the highs, but obviously that failed, chopped around. And right here was a key moment of interest for me. I was watching this setup, and what I saw was, okay, all these 7 a.m. traders are watching mainly this stock because all the other stock sucked at the moment. And what I saw was like, imagine in my head before this move happened, in my head, I was imagining, what if we went below these lows? And because this has the potential to be the main stock for the day, I think that whales are going to be interested in this opportunity. They're going to be like, okay, this is a pretty decently low price down here, and as a whale, I definitely think it'd be an attractive opportunity to kind of soak up shares right here, maybe to stop down here and just target some sort of rally or take profit at the highs or whatever. And that's what I thought from a big whale perspective. And so what I did was right down here, I wasn't trading the stock with size. I think I was trading 2,000 shares or something. I pre-planned that because I just didn't want to use size on Friday because I suck at Fridays. But I got one of my entries right here. and it immediately rips up. And I'm pretty sure I took profit like right here. I did not hold. I don't know why. I'm just Seven AM retail. Just saw this pushing above, and they're like, okay, this can definitely get to the highs. And all these retail traders wanted to take advantage of those prices that were down here. So they started just pushing it up and squeezing it. Maybe there's some big players in effect here, but there's a lot of short retail activity here, that's for sure. And right here, first consolidator setup. And it was mainly because after breaking above here, we got I would like to call it. And for the most part, if some whales miss this move, or whoever party missed this move and they do want to get back in, then they're not going to be chasing the highs. They're going to be the people that are going to wait for the dips that push back down, and they're going to be the ones to push it back above. So as this started flipping right here, you could see that this stock, it was like right below the lows. We pushed it under, and then I was waiting for the reverse right here. I got back in, and it immediately curled back up, and this time I held for the full move. I sold like half right here, I sold the other half up here, and I thought that was a great trade. And it was shortly after that we had the same setup. We have prior highs right here, and retail's looking to buy, the lows, looking to buy those prior highs as like support. So we end up coming down, retail starts trying to buy back up, they fail, and then it comes back down again, it breaks a little below, I get in, because it's the same setup right here, and similar setup to what we had here. So it's like, I get back in, it squeezes back up, and then what I kind of noticed here was that retail was not strong enough to push it above the highs. There's no big players here pushing above the highs. And that kind of told me, like, this thing's probably exhausted for now. Um, so I'm only going to be touching it, really start to push down. We didn't really push down a lot, but I saw the same setup right here, so I took it. And that was another nice trade. And then we ended up kind of forming this longer consolidation down. And a part of me thought that, big players, if they were offloading up here, I think they would have pushed the stock down heavily already. They wouldn't keep it around the same levels. So a part of me was thinking, like, this stock, they might be willing to load in if this thing gives us another decent dip, because they might want to have that extra last push. And my next entry was right here, because we took out these common lows again, and immediately when that reversed, I knew that there's going to be a bunch of FOMO traders trying to get into that dip. So I traded right here, I sold like somewhere up here, but then it had this entire other move. I missed this one, but what I called out the top in the Discord, like I literally said like, okay, yeah, this is definitely the top, because we had this last final push, and retail's probably thinking, oh yeah, this thing's trending up, so I'm gonna find sort of dip and just get in and hold and do whatever. And for me, I was just like, I'm done taking dips now. I already made a lot of money on this, and I'm just gonna stop it there. And what happened right here was, uh, retail, like smaller retail, kind of like pushed it up and tried to get the next leg up here, but they failed. And what happened? We ended up selling off. What I like to view this as is bigger retail could have been taking profit, and that's why small retail couldn't have gotten above the highs. And we eventually just ended up kind of like pressuring down a bit, and then we ended up like trying to have another one of those pushes higher, but retail wasn't strong enough. We ended up pushing back down again, and then we try to bring it back up. Retail tries squeezing it up, but we come back down again. This is all signs of weakness right here, and I wasn't trading it at all right here. And like later in the day, we just ended up dumping. During market hours, ended up pumping later, but this stock was heavily context based, and this is what I view as context based, because you kind of had to look at it. This is an opportunity for big players, and these big players, they would absorb certain levels. because they're looking to capture low prices and they're looking to sell onto bigger crowds of small retail. Every single time they sold was probably into these highs or into these pushes, and it's because all of these small retail are buying it up, trying to get that squeeze higher, but this stock isn't like that. This stock is a grinder. So this is one of those setups where it's like you could have recognized that. You could have been a whale. You could have absorbed as many shares as you can down here, and it would have been a great, 7 a.m. setup. And I talked about it down here. I like to mention the word 7 a.m. setup a lot because it happens all the time. There's a bunch of co-op traders that go online at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
And
it's right
I know for
to
a fact that there's
specify
also
that.
big traders in this market, and they're going to use that information to their advantage. So for me, a 7 a.m. setup is one where big traders are looking for opportunities, and they need to obviously build big positions. They're big traders, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to buy and chase the highs. That's obvious. They're not going to get super high fills. So obviously they're going to wait for some sort of dip, or they're going to try to get as low as they can in price. And they right here on PRNR, that 7 a.m. setup with all this weakness right here. It looked like it was just going to fall off the sky to your common retail trader. It looked like it was trending down. And instead of that, all these big players were absorbing shares right here. And that's how they got in. This is their low price. And then they took advantage of that. And then retail pumps it up like they've done for the past 2 days. So what I was saying here, the 7 a.m. setup was one where big traders dropped stocks with upward momentum potential right before the 7 a.m. mark. And that's right before all these small retail traders come in. And it gives the illusion of weakness. So these retail traders are either going to look away from the stock or maybe it's a short seller and they're going to want to build some sort of position there. But the big players buy it up and let retail squeeze it through the highs. All of retail is squeezing it above the highs. That's what they know. That's what they know to do best. All these degenerate retails, they just want to hit the ass, go with the offsets, and send it to the moon. But obviously, this isn't that type of stock, so they just kept getting taken advantage of. And then obviously, the big players could have offloaded near these highs. Some of them could have offloaded near here. But either way, this is kind of like the movement of this stock for the past 2 days. But yeah, I wanted to highlight this because there is a pattern here for these stocks. We see these types of stocks all the time, and they have context to them.
Yes,
But
yes.
what do you guys think of this?
Yeah, so about the 7 a.m. setup, me and Alex, we've discussed this like I think like 4 weeks ago, something like that. So the thing about the 7 a.m. setup is the top is relatively close to the initial 7 a.m. mark, so it will be like maximum 7 and 10 minutes, 7 and 5 minutes, 7 and 2 minutes, something like that. Sometimes it's even 7 a.m. Literally 7 a.m. And the main thing that me and Alex discussed is if you have the ability to trade before 7 a.m., you have an edge. But if you have the ability like to only trade 7 a.m. as I do, I don't really have an edge because I feel like I'm chasing. Because sometimes you will get the big pop right at 7 a.m. and it's hard to hold. And it's also like I honestly want to wait for the dip like almost every time, and the dip, if the dip happens at 7 a.m., it's sometimes it's hard to navigate. The stock is choppy, so the main play here in this setup, as we've discussed, me and Alex, is like building a position and like anticipating the 7 a.m. burst, as you would say. So I have a lot of like charts which are written in Hebrew, but you can also understand them mainly because you can just look at the chart. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into many. I call them the 7 a.m. Runner setup. It's a really nice one if you're like me and Adam. We can trade them because we trade from 4. So the thing is, sometimes, as Ohad just said, the peak might be before 7 a.m. Sometimes the rally goes up and it explodes at 7 a.m. I have many examples of that. So the peak can be somewhere around 7 a.m., which is quite interesting. But from a pre-7 a.m. perspective, we look for unusual strength for a stock, and the absolute best situation is when there is one specific stock in focus, which is a high gapper, and which is up quite nicely off the day. Then it's pretty safe to say that it will continue the rally up towards 7 a.m. It's really nice.
Yeah, so I'm sending some examples here in the Discord, you can check.
But Kersey, do you want to aim for holding trades longer, or is this something that you want to work on?
Well, for me, I'm gonna share my screen to a different tab real quick. So, are you guys able to see that?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
So, my goal is, let me hear this. Okay, so my goal is, we have whatever stock pumping up, and I'm gonna draw out like the micro price action that you see, when you're looking at the stock. So, my goal is like, this could be whatever chart, but normally when I'm hyper scalping, as I said before, I'm just trying to get these lows. I'm trying to get the low, I'm trying to get the low here, here, here. I take a lot of trades. I'm just trying to get the lows. And I'll sell for like a tiny profit, Just drawing some examples here. And what happens almost always is I'm not aware of the context. I don't really know what's going on. All I know is I have an edge for predicting reversals. And what I want to do is, for some of these pre-market stocks, I feel like if you can develop a bigger understanding of the context, and by context I mean this is your micro time frame action, right? Let's say this is like, 5 minutes of data.
Yeah.
And let's just say like the daily chart, I mean not the daily chart, let's just say like the 1 minute chart is something that's just like it's popping up and then it comes back down, popping up again, comes back down, and then let's say it's about to pop up again. And let's say that this low right here was this low right here. Sometimes
Yes.
I can literally get the bottom of that 1 minute candle. And what do? I sell immediately because
Exactly.
that's just my nature.
Yeah.
But the thing
Classic.
is let's say I was focusing heavily on the structure of how these moves are forming and the
Yeah.
momentum behind them and what I think, for the most part, these traders think about the stock and what they think it's gonna do. If I could,
Yeah.
if I could develop a better understanding for all of it. So maybe next time I could add down here, because I think it's gonna be a low to the next highs. And then maybe instead of selling right here, I could maybe add right here, and then I could end up holding for the bigger move. And then once we have weakness, I could just end up selling it off. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to work on right now.
Yeah,
Is
Kersey, do
just
you have
to become more
any
aware of that.
sorry for interrupting, but do you have any stock or specific setup in mind that you think that you could have done it, and you just off the top of your
Sure.
head?
I could share the document I shared before. Let me see if I could. I'm gonna share my screen in another window.
Yeah, we can
So
think together about the specific stock. I just want to know what you
yeah, I think
approximately aim at.
this is kind of
So,
interesting.
2 examples right here. I already reviewed this with both you, Alex and Ohad, but it's a good example. So, it's CJTX penny stock, and obviously there's pretty, decent. If you looked at this chart, you could analyze what the patterns are, and it's really just like it's rangy, it's choppy, but as Ohad knows, this had tighter spreads, which gives a decent edge. And
Yeah.
for me, I was soaking up in these dips every single time. and I was like 20% of the volume on the stock. So I had a decent effect, and I was just kind of pushing it up, letting retail squeeze it. And then, for the most part, I could have actually built positions, you know, I think that's too early to know, but over here, maybe, I could have taken longs here, anticipating the attempt to squeeze to the highs, which happened right here, and then we came back down. I could have gotten right over here. Instead of selling right away, I could have just held and anticipated the longer move. And it's uptrending as well, so why not buy the low, hold, and then maybe sell some up here, buy the low right here, so I'm building a bigger and bigger position, and my average position will only be like down here, so it'll be a nice profit most of the time. Why not do that? And then as it comes up, sell when we're kind of more in the overextended zones. And
Yeah.
another example right here, um, this stock right here, it was holding the highs. That was the pattern you saw. It wasn't like CJTX. It wasn't ranging and choppy. It was holding the highs. It had very tight structure. And a good strategy could have been, once you saw it, it was doing it right here. On this dip, you could have anticipated the breakout, so you could have tried predicting the reversal when it was near the lows. So building a position right here as chopping and stop loss right down here. Try to get the best fills you can if it does break down, but if it ends up curling up, that risk to reward, it's phenomenal. And as you see, that big old green candle could have given a lot of decent profit. But for the most part, after seeing this move, you should have anticipated that this stock had momentum, and it was most likely going to continue until it kind of lowered in volatility and showed weakness. But for me, it showed strength. This is not weakness. This is not weakness. It showed strength that it was willing to crack through the highs. So I think as it comes down here, buy this reversal, and anticipate the breakout to the highs, and then wait for that weakness to show up like it was back here, and then just end up cutting and selling some of the position and holding for the longer move overall. But the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
problem with this is, these setups don't happen every day. And you can't apply the same logic to every stock. It's only specific stocks when they pop up. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to apply my strategy to more than just hyper scalping, but being more context aware.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think the edge was on CGTX specifically was how we actually traded it. Like we milked it like it's we milked it like we should have. But in IPA, I agree with you. But on CGTX, do you really think that the edge was not hyper scalping, but actually holding for the big breakouts?
It definitely was, and I was trading it kind of stupid. I only made like 1,500 on it, and I was trading an absurd amount of volume. And it's just because I wasn't aware of what I should have been doing. And so I was getting bottoms, I was kind of reversing the stock a bit, and instead of holding, maybe like down here, I would get in and then I would sell up here, and then I would get a decent amount of slippage, and it would only be like, a couple hundred profit. And instead, as it keeps going up, I would just keep trying to hyper scalp it, but as a result, I'm getting bad slippage from these tight ranges that I'm trying to play, and that's definitely something I could work on is when we have these opportunities specifically, then I could be more context aware, and instead of getting in with big positions and getting right out, I could just build a bigger position and I could hold for a longer part of the move. And
Yeah.
I believe that's where the only way I'm gonna make more money and scale up more is if I'm more context aware.
Yeah. I can. This what you're saying is really much related to what me and Adam spoke about today. We spent a few hours on this topic, and we've been here before. When I went back to December in my journal, and I've been writing about this. But I think this is somewhat related to what you want to aim for as well. So, what you could test, you could try to define value areas in charts. In those value areas, you, instead of hyperscalp, you can continue hyperscalp, do exactly as you do, but when you have a value area confirmed, that's where you should do a trailing stop instead of just a take profit, and you should shift your mindset from taking profit to adding instead. But then you have to be 100% clear of, okay, but what's the value area? Like what is the point of control within the market must be extremely biased towards the buyers when you do that, because when you do that, there is that's what I think most people call it, like a strong front side or whatever. But we have like a specific definition of what that is and what it looks like. When you're in that area, the 10-second pullbacks and the micro pullbacks and the 1-minute pullbacks, they will be very clean and there will be follow through. If you try to hold a pullback or a dip in a choppy range, you'll probably just end up closing out at break even and being mad about it, probably. So you have to figure out, okay, at what should the chart look like when I have the biggest chance of getting follow through on the actual longer holds or the context based trades.
Yeah, definitely.
I have
mean,
some. I can show you some charts if you want, on which, because me and Adam, I don't think we will trade anything outside of those value areas anymore, because we've identified that that's where we lose money. We're getting shopped out, and we want to trade only the absolute best front sides, and that's the areas where you should be adding, because that's where the real follow through is happening.
So mainly breakouts, not dips.
No. You can still buy dips, because dips and pullbacks will still occur within the strong trends, but there is a clear criteria where the high value trend starts and where the high value trend ends.
Okay.
When the stock goes not parabolic, but the front side trend is strong. After the second leg of that move, it will go into choppiness. And that's often where I see most hyper scalpers are actually trading, in that choppiness. And like, it's important to also factor in the strong side of the trend, because that's where you will get the big follow through. That's where you get, like, you can buy a dip, a reversal, and instead of holding it maybe halfway to high of day or sell at high of day, you can add for the break of high of day instead, and that's like a really nice step forward.
Interesting.
yeah, it's definitely a lot to learn. But I think the best traders out there, including Ross, they had some sort of thing that worked. They brutally tried to learn the market, and they found something that worked. Ross found something that worked for decades, right? And it took him a long time to find that. And for me, I'm at that position where I found something that works. But obviously, over time, I want to expand that. And I think that a lot of big traders, Xavier, Crispy, uh, a lot of these people, even Mighty or Tim, what they realize is that if they want to scale up the trading more, they're going to have to hold on to some of these trades. And I think that a big part of that is just, it's kind of like pushing a piece of your strategy into another. It's like crossing the line sometimes, because you have to, instead of hyper scalping, you're just kind of buying a reversal in anticipation for that it will be a breakout, and the risk to reward will be greater if you hold for that breakout rather than immediately taking profit for that trade. It's definitely it's also difficult to find out if the reversal that you got or you predicted is going to be the next rip to the high day, because you can't just take every single dip and reversal and expect it to break for high day. You have to be more context aware, and that's what I'm trying to learn right now.
Yeah, let me share my screen real quick. I want to show you something.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be like interesting for you. It's just a quick thing.
I'm back, boys.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna show Percy something here. 1 second. Let me see if I can share. Like, so. Okay. So there are two areas within like a small cap stock. Or on the daily chart or whatever. Just look at like today. Okay, so the breaking news is really spike, green candle comes up like it's algos and whatever. So in that sometimes that's holding on, like that could be like generating a large front. Okay, going up. There we have some problems in the beginning, like. It's fucking thin. It's yeah, many scary aspects there. So you might want to be careful, you know. And I've been burnt here like quite a few times. But in this general area, that's one high value trading opportunity. And what usually happens is that it fades explosively. Like the buyers are crazy, and then the sellers just fucking smack the shit out of that stock. It goes down. And it just lurks around, and here, like I get the impression this is the area where like you could look for reversals, and so when you say, yeah, but I can't buy every reversal looking for a new high of day, like because it's obviously gonna go really bumpy around here.
Hey, Alex, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, so first candle with the one with the circle.
Yeah.
Nobody except a few can get in, right?
Yeah, it's probably like the most early ones. I think Ross usually jumps in on that first 1 minute candle. It's like it's like a hit or miss. Like I took one of those trades and I thought I bought a dip, but I got smacked $1 in the face, like minus 100 cents.
I think I remember when you shared that outcome.
Yeah,
let me ask you a question. Then, realistically for you, where do you enter on that graph?
So there are two areas of interest for me. It's either in the 1 minute or 10-second pullback here, somewhere in there. But then the interesting thing is relating to what Kersey said, that yeah, but I'm trading around. Maybe it doesn't fade this much. Maybe it just fades like it goes something like that. To look for reversals, that's one thing, but there is a really powerful pattern when the stock pushes up, like from breaking news initially, and then it fades, and then the curl starts.
Okay, so that's a little bit. Let me ask you for the front side first, because this is my personal weakness.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, I've gone through my feelings, and the worst feeling I have is when I see something going straight up like that, and me saying, okay, I am gonna play on. I'm using, just so you guys know, I'm no longer using the 10-second chart. I'm just doing the 15-second chart. So I get a little less noise, I guess, as we had agreed before. So I'm looking at the 15-second chart. I see the first 15-second pullback, or at least lack of moving up.
Yeah.
I try to enter there and say I have to buy the ask. I'm forced to chase. So I'm buying the top, or at least I'm getting filled at the top.
Yeah.
This is the part where I struggle.
Yeah.
What is what is my risk? Where do I cut this?
Yes, exactly.
And followed by, okay, since I don't know very clearly where I'm gonna cut this, how can I allocate 5,000 shares or 3,000 shares?
Yeah.
How do I determine my size?
Yeah. That's really hard because the spread is too wide in the beginning.
The spread is too wide. Pennies may provide a little bit of a different, a little bit of an opportunity to kind of like chase those moves.
Yeah, but you can ignore this if you don't want to trade. Like this is it's very high risk area to trade the absolute start of a breaking news push. It's very risky.
And don't get me wrong, I do agree with you. I think, as someone said it, this is probably the smoothest portion of. I mean, I get that it's very risky because then it's probably the odds are a little bit better than flipping a coin, because what you're betting for is that it goes straight up.
Yeah.
What you're hoping it doesn't is that your move gets stalled, right? And it pauses. Why? Because you have the catalyst, and the catalyst being the news.
Yeah.
Right?
But even if a stock has news, it can still just explode to the downside, like because the sellers are like, oh, no way, it's not going to go over. And what I was going to maybe give Kirsi a tip, like when you want to add and expect follow through is when the stock curls back up to high of day and smashes. This area is really interesting. Let me take because this happens all the time.
I agree with that.
Look at this.
I agree with you, Alex. That happens not all the time, but in the right names. Well, and that happens even after the bell rings. And that's what Marcelo makes the most amount of money. Remember, he said 3 trades is where he makes his most money. Number 1 is the opening search. Number 2 is the pre-market high of day breakout. And number 3 was the dip and rip in the whole trade.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we could very well just do those 3, but I do have a piece of information on that makes me love that particular trade even more. I don't know if you mind if I share my screen really quickly.
1 second. I just wanna finish explaining this to Kirsi, because this is like what happens here is really interesting. So you have first this pattern here. It pops, and then you have the break, like this area. That's where you'd want to add aggressively, like because here shorts are selling. They're selling into this move. They're thinking it's fading, and when it breaks high of day, they have to cover. So you have double coverage there. So this would be considered a high value trading. And then you have the exact same pattern here. It's fade, and then it comes curling back up. And as it comes closer and closer to high of day, the patterns become more and more clean, and also the short squeeze becomes stronger. So then you enter the next high value area, which is here. And there you can look for the dips to add aggressively instead of selling. You could add into the break of high of day, and so I'd just to experiment, try to look for these areas where price is becoming really strong, and it becomes like a short squeeze. There I think that's the points where you want to add.
Exactly, and not in the choppy range, in my opinion.
No, exactly.
And I have a live example of that. If you let me share my screen, and I'm gonna share my secret sauce here at the risk of edge decay. Okay. Here it goes. If I do, let me see. How do I do it? Share your screen. New format. Got it. Okay. So what do I do now? Make a selection. Okay. I'm gonna go there. Do you guys have nitro on this thing or not?
I do.
Oh, you do. That's why. Share this window. Okay. Am I sharing anything?
Yeah.
You're sharing Discord.
I know, but I want to share my sub streaming. Is it not gonna work out?
You need to click on share screen and then you have screens, not applications. Go to screens tab and then you have all the screens.
Oh, so I gotta change what you're streaming. Change for, because right now there's, and notice on the right side of my screen I have the gap list from TradingView. Very basic stuff, right? That's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this name Orgo popping up. I saw that they had news because of really good revenue. And then you can see on that I have my setup, I have 4 screens, but then on the top I have the 1 minute chart. And then I have all the additional stuff. I have the float shares, I have ATR, just the number.
Mm-hmm.
I have RSI,
Mm-hmm.
I have the MACD, I have volume, but I also have the I added the pivot number, which I'm starting to use a little bit, because it automatically tells you based on the price action what the pivot is based on 20 candles or so. Anyways, I looked at the float and the float said 78.36 millions of shares of float. So I'm like, you know what? This is not ideal, but it's the only thing that I may be able to trade at, because nothing else was moving at that time. And this was around 3:30 p.m. market time.
Mm-hmm.
So that blue line is the high of day. And the name for the last 30 minutes of trading was trying to get to high of day. You can see that Greek candle rejection to the penny rejects it. And what you don't see is that one candle drop from 575, high of day was 575. It went down to 562 and then started trading that bull flag against high of day as the resistance. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now you could convince yourself and use a 5-minute chart and say, I'm gonna treat this as a 5-minute bull flag with 25 minutes left to trade for the day on a Friday on the biggest change percentage of the day name in the whole stock market, and hope for the best, which I have a really hard time doing that kind of trading because I can't size to that. Or you can wait for a pattern you love. If it doesn't come up, you just don't trade it, period, right? So look at what they did. So they hit it again, touched the top for to the T, 475 3 times, and then they had a nasty rejection. And that nasty rejection went from 573 all the way down to 25% drop.
Yeah.
And then they chop it down. So they gives you the A. Then you had a little bit of rebound. We don't jump in yet because we don't have confirmation, right? So it goes up. So it gives you that lower high.
Which is the C. Oh, lower high is the B.
Which is the B. And then it gives you the C, and check this out. This is why I love this trade so much. So the bottom of that C is 558, with your biggest risk being the bottom of A, which is 557.
Okay.
So then you can size your entire account and say, I'm risking a penny. Yes, you can get flashed down, of course, it can happen. But and at that point it's a little bit of a different risk, but here you can max size because you're entering with 1 penny risk, so you're willing to cut the trade if it hits anything lower than 556. And look exactly what happened immediately after that.
Yeah, it skyrockets.
ABCD pattern. And then the initial target was to break high of day. And all you have to do is hold the trade for what is it, 3 minutes? But the first target would be high of day. So I took half of the trade at high of day. and then I let the rest ride. And this is the part, the rest meaning above high of day, right? And this is the part that I'm working on, because I know it looks like a solid candle. If you look in the 10-second chart, it wasn't as smooth. There was a low coming before the high, and if you're sizing up, then it's a little bit harder to hold. But that was as clear of a play as possible that I've seen in a long time. And those are my favorite, because you're taking a retracement trade on the biggest percentage winner at that time on the market, right below high of day. So which means that the shorts are against the fence, right? Now, the only reason I didn't go all in, 5,000 shares or more, is because of the float. Because they can fake you out, right? Like they have enough, they have enough shares there. And I can't remember what. Go ahead. So now you know. So this is and then if you put it into MMU edges, this is a combination of 5 edges into one, right? So you have the high of day break, you have the ABCD pattern. If you look at the reason I put the 10-second chart is that notice that C wave formation gives you an ABCD pattern in and of itself on the 15-second chart.
Yeah.
That's a nice setup, actually. How they paint the higher day at 575, which was the same higher day from like the open. That's cool.
And the reason I love this trade, I only bought 1,000 shares, and I ended up making $235 or something like that. I wish I would have bought more, but again, the float is what kind of like prevented me from doing it. And then I'm gonna add one more thing to this trade, which is the multi-time alignment situation. If you look at the 5-minute chart, the 5-minute chart it gave you the red rejection, which we already established was about 20-cent decrease. Started bouncing a little bit, so it already gave you the lowest point of the 5-minute candle. Started bouncing a little bit, and then you are buying the first candle. You're not buying the first candle to make a new high. You're buying the first green candle on the 5-minute trace. So you have that multi-time alignment because you're not buying a bearish candle. So I'm very cognizant of what the timing is. And this is in part comes from the conversation we've had, because Alex and Kersey, I think, were sharing some of the thoughts about the end of candle price, which I think I didn't understand until you guys kind of explained it to me in terms of coding for algos. You use that end of the candle price to say, okay, if the price is this, do the following kind of thing.
Oh,
right?
wow, I didn't think about it like that. That makes so much sense.
Right. So, and I think now I'm also trying to implement that into my trading, which is trying to be logic about it. Okay. So, and being able to say, okay, so the price is this, it looks very bullish, single red candle, already printed the red candle. If I'm a bear algo or the person writing the algo for that trade, the code for that algo for that trade, would this be a point where I want to short more? And because of that, I'm like, you know what, this is a really good trade, and then you can go ahead. But anyways, what I wanted to share with you guys, to me, this is the best setup in the world. So, and then the two things that unfortunately I can't really share it on my screen, keeping an eye on the 5-minute candle, making sure that that red candle closes, giving a little bit of a rebound. So I'm willing to take the odds that the following candle is not going to be a bear candle. And then the other thing that you do not see, just based on the way the setup is that I am never going to buy. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I am never going to buy a red candle with 2 minutes, a red 5-minute candle with 2 minutes to go. I call that, okay. I personally call that, I'm torturing myself. Because I know that it's a 5-minute retracement. The candle's already red. It could go further down. and I'm trying to be bull on a bear candle essentially. So I'm going against the momentum.
That's actually so cool to look further into the 5-minute
There you
chart.
go.
Even you try to.
And last thing, this is what I was gonna say. It's right above the 50-cent support. Now, I do want to ask you guys that question, because if you look at the order of, I've asked Marcelo and Artie this question. Was there a particular order when you guys released the MMU edges, like in order, and they said no? But I truly believe that there is. I don't super strongly feel that the 50-cent or whole dollar, but mainly the 50-cent works as it used to. And I do want to ask you guys your thoughts on that. Do you still feel like it has a lot of value in terms of becoming support and resistance? Maybe the whole dollar does a little bit more than the 50-cent. And then I do want to hear from Alex, and if you guys understand coding. I know you have to pick a number when you're, writing a logic or script for an algo, but you can write any number. It doesn't need to be a 0. It could be a 48. It could be a 92. So is there some truth to that could still be considered?
Yeah, but there is a really easy way to get this like facts. You can just buy a total view for DAS and look in the regular hours, and you have the full book, and you will see how it looks, like the depth of market. And there you will see that around half and whole dollars, there is more orders than the rest of the numbers. Like there will be 100%.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then it stays true. But anyway, so I use the half dollar as saying, instead of giving myself 1 cent, because it would have been 1 cent where my entry was, instead of giving me just 1 cent range, I'm going to give you those 6 cents all the way down to 50. The issue that I have with that is, once you start approaching the 50 number, I personally think that you run a little bit of a higher risk of potentially getting flashed down.
Yeah. If the level is respected, it's if the level is already broken, it's not gonna be respected. But we're talking about unexplored price levels. Then you can expect more orders around half and whole dollar if it's unexplored.
Now, if you disregard the float of shares on this particular name, and it was biopharma and all that kind of stuff, just from the MMU people, you can tell if this would have been a lower float, kind of like perfect time of day type of situation, Marcelo would have been someone who would have made a lot of money on that high of day breakout. He wouldn't be buying the bottom of the C wave. He will be buying the first 1 minute candle to make a new high to break high of day, and holding through that break of high of day.
Yeah. That curl pattern is really, really strong.
And you know what, Alex, what you just said right now, I think is the essence of us sitting in front of the screen day in and day out, is to be able to understand those intangible characteristics of each market, each name, which I agree with you. That is a pattern that is super strong. Yep. I don't necessarily completely can trade it or endorse it because of the reasons we talked about earlier in the example you shared, which was you're chasing in a way. So what's my risk? Yeah. Because remember we said we're not trading for money. This is not, at least for me, it's not going to be my career ever. I don't want this to be my career ever. So my number one rule is don't lose money first. So I'm okay jumping out and trying this 100 times until one hits. But if I'm chasing, then I'm opening up the room to, shoot. And trust me, I love averaging down. It's my constant ghost. I have to battle it. And the only way I can battle it is if I don't get myself in a position where I chase, essentially. So now that's my secret right there. So like I said, 5 edges into one. and it worked out, and it's a beautiful thing when it goes.
Yeah, I want to see your archive, man. I wish you could share your screen.
I'm a little bit retarded, and the other when it comes down to computers, because I've used Mac my entire professional career, and now, and right now I'm connected with my Mac, but obviously my trading rig is a PC. Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to share with you guys, which is the goal zone that we talked about.
Yeah,
So if you
go ahead.
So this particular chart gave a goal zone. And if you go to the top of the chart after the breakout, you can only see it. I don't think you can see it on the 10-second chart, on the 1 minute chart, but you can see it on the 15-second chart, which is the left bottom corner. Notice that after breaking the high and carving out the top, you get a very bearish red candle at the top, right? Like a shooting star. Can you guys see that?
Wait a minute, I'm loading the picture.
So only on the 15-second chart.
Yeah.
And then it gives you a range from 635, which was the high after that breakout, all the way to 616. So 19-cent range.
Yeah.
And then within that 15-second chart, you can make out an ABCD pattern before the next shooting star candle rejection after breaking the high.
Yeah, so I'm having like this thought every time. I know Kersey does it, Alex does it, and now I see you watching like smaller time frames, like the 15-second chart.
Because remember, the 15-second chart will show you sometimes when you see that red to green. So you see a nasty rejection and then panic flush, and then you're betting that okay, this is a panic flush. There's gonna be a quick reversal, and you're buying that off the 1 minute chart. You are actually preventing yourself from being able to minimize your risk by waiting on the ABCD pattern at the bottom and then buying only the C wave bottom with the bottom of the A wave as your risk. And I cannot tell you enough, Ohad, how many times now this has helped me buying dips that keep on dipping and getting stuck. Because now my thought process is that if this doesn't give me an ABCD pattern on the 15-second chart, it goes red to green on the 50-second chart, I'm okay letting go of that trade. I'm okay.
Wow, that's actually really cool. So you will not ever buy the initial dip. Only you wait for the micro ABCD pattern on the 15-second chart, right?
That's it, baby. That's it.
Wow, man. That's
and now, but again, it goes back to exactly what all of us do here, which is I'm gonna develop a little bit of a relationship with this name, and I want to see what they're doing. Because remember, as you can imagine, this is being programmed, right? Sometimes they're gonna have algos that buy right away, and then you're gonna see red to green on the 15-second chart, and then it's happening enough for you to say, okay, now I've seen two of them. I'm on the support area. Everything else lines up. I am going to potentially buy this low. But if I end up doing that, I'm not gonna size big. It's gonna be a try and see, got you guys, got a little bit of it, and then I move on. So the ones that I'm gonna be betting bigger on is gonna be ABCD patterns on the micro, and then because I have a very limited risk, right? I'm no matter what, I'm gonna sell. Even if I take the nastiest loss of the day, I'm gonna sell and follow the plan. And the sell is always gonna be the bottom of the A wave. Now, it doesn't stop there, right? Because the ABCD pattern is a double bottom, right? If you look at the cap on handle, the cap on handle is an ABCD pattern with a higher level on the C wave, right? It's shallower, more bullish. You could say, let me see on the chart, because I think I may have seen an ABCD pattern on Orgo earlier. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, SF, one more question. Do you use mainly TradingView?
Only TradingView.
Yeah, so TOS does not have a 15-second chart, which is kind of lame.
Yep. Yeah, I only use TradingView. I thought you did too, though, Ohad.
I do use TradingView, but I do not pay for the actual real-time data.
Oh, my brother, is one scratch trade for you. It's like $250 for the premium, whatever, a year. It's like so cheap now.
It's a scratch trade, but I don't know. Maybe I should try and use it again.
Yeah, so do whatever layout you like. I mean, this 4 screen that I'm doing now is what makes me happy. And I'm just looking for my ABCD patterns, cap and handles. And now I noticed that they're doing that Adam and Eve type of thing. I think there was an Adam and Eve on a name let me see if I can show you one. Oh, and by the way, the screener on TradingView, thank you so much for helping me set up. I added the after hours trading. I know it's too late for you guys to trade at that time, but yesterday, since I hadn't been trading for a few days, I stayed on for a little bit longer, and there were a few names that popped up.
Yeah, did you find success doing it?
It feels just like pre-market.
But the spreads are large, and the moves are so slow. Like it's even
exactly.
pre-market, even worse in terms of all the bad stuff.
But what I'm finding out is that, and it's not the first time that I hear this. What's the name? Have you guys heard about that guy Madas?
Yep.
Okay. So that guy Madas will say, he'll give his recap on Twitter, on X, and then he'll say something like cheeseburger on this name after hours or something. So he's one of the guys that stays after hours, and in one of his posts on X, he said Friday afternoon news in the small cap world is a thing, which is not a thing on the large cap world because nobody wants to release any news or have earnings phone calls Friday afternoon. But in the small cap world, is a thing. So it may not be a bad idea if you're not doing anything on a Friday. Well, for you guys, it's probably too late already, but yeah, Friday afternoon, stick around.
So
and yesterday we're like
mainly Friday afternoon.
Mainly Friday afternoon, correct?
Oh wow!
And then on the screener, all you have to do is on the TradingView screener. All you have to do is
I know you can just change the
post. Yeah, to post market change. That's it. All right. Well, there you go. I gave you guys my secret sauce.
Casey, did you ever trade like the after hours session?
Did for a while, but I couldn't trust myself not to average down and trade shitty setups, so I stopped. But I do have to go soon, but there's one more thing I wanted to share. And this is kind of the main thing I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me know if you see my screen.
We do.
Yep.
Alright, so these are my stats. I made this through my program, and it takes all of my trade data for... Let me find what it is. So this is 2024, excluding 2025. And this is the all-time net P&L added up in columns. So what you can see, 2024, almost all my profit was from sub $1 stocks.
Yeah.
And it's huge. It's like 150,000, right? And obviously I wasn't good at trading stocks, so I kind of avoided them, and it's less profit. But if you look over here, holding time, it's like I make profit, on all these different holding times. And typically it ranged from, 0 to 15, 20 seconds. And look at 2025. This is what I don't get, Why is all of a sudden my holding time so short? Well, it kind of makes sense because I started trading more expensive stocks. And for some reason, it's like I am less active on penny stocks. I'm like 80% less active. And is that a personal preference? No. I traded penny stocks whenever I could if they're rallying, but for some reason, I couldn't make money on them. And it's a big issue I've had with them is the spreads. For some reason, we just seen more penny stocks with larger spreads, and that caused me to kind of skip away from these stocks more.
Mm-hmm.
And also with these more expensive stocks, they move a lot quicker, so my trades are a lot more rapid. As you see, all these red columns here are because of me averaging down and taking big hits uh, on these more expensive stocks. It's harder to average down in a penny stock, in my opinion, because it moves a bit different, which I'll get to later. But on these stocks, they move really fast, and like if you slip up and make one little mistake, you can be fucked up really fast. So it's like that's why my holding time is a lot shorter. But if you can put these in comparison, like
Hey, Kersey, can I
20
interrupt you there? What is it? What do you say? So what can fuck you up really quick?
um, good question. I'm pretty sure
No.
I was talking about
The spreads, right?
the stock's
The
price
spreads, right?
between like
Oh yeah. I agree. Okay.
well yeah, what I was also saying was my behavior of averaging down and stuff. Like these stocks between $1 and like $5, they uh they can be a lot more volatile than sub $1 stocks. So what would happen is sometimes I would get into one of these, like a $3 stock, for example, I'd get in at $3, it would instantly dump on me. And out of hope and arrogance, I would hold. And as you can see, that reflects my P&L right here. I lost tens of thousands, added up. And it's a really bad behavior. It's not these red columns are larger because there's some like penny stocks, for example, where I'll hold longer and it offsets that. But I thought it was an interesting statistic to share, and this is like the analysis of it is less profit from sub $1 stocks, more from $1 to $5 stocks. Hold time decreased substantially year over year, and this is a chart showing my max drawdowns in my career. It's not by a day by day. It's by a trade by trade, and this shows all the trades in my entire career, and it shows the max drawdown. So in this chart, this first bracket you see right here, this black bracket, this is going to be, let me show, it should be down here. That's going to be the 8th month of 2024 to the 12th month of 2024. So pretty much, I started trading in that 6th month of 2024 on this account. So it's pretty much 2024. And as you see, those drawdowns were pretty small. It was only 1,000, 1,500 at most, and I kept it really tight. But then this is 2025 right here. It starts right here. And this is a now. But as you can see, you know, my drawdowns keep getting larger and larger and larger. Now, for me, I've been trying to become a better trader. I need to be trying to become stuck here. I was like, why is this happening? Um, and this is obviously I analyzed it right here, but this is my daily dollar volume chart. It's not shares, it's actual dollar volume, timesing the shares by the stock price. And the two same brackets shown up here. This is 2024, this is 2025. And as you can see, on average, these days are like 2 to 4 times more. But then look at the drawdowns. That period, the drawdowns are 2 to 4 times more. So my summary here was that in 2025, I'm using on average 2 to 4 times more volume. So therefore, it makes sense for my drawdowns to increase. And obviously, I'm getting used to more size, so my drawdowns are getting bigger. But nonetheless, I can still improve as a trader and try to fix these drawdowns because obviously there's some sort of error or mistake I'm making in them. And going down here, the same analysis. So in 2025, I held my positions shorter. And I explained that before on why that is. And my P&L is less in penny stocks and more in dollar stocks. I use 2 to 4 times more size, resulting in my drawdowns being 2 to 4 times more on average. My profit factor went down from 1.47 in 2024 to 1.2 this year. Most likely from slippage or larger size. That's the kind of thesis I can arrive at right now. But why do you guys think that penny stocks, why do you think penny stocks became less profitable for me in 2024 to 2025? If you
I
guys have to
don't
say.
know if it has something to do with that new rule. I think we've already spoke about this, but the rule of like penny stocks cannot split or something like that, and they have to be, I don't know, something like that.
But that
I
rule kind of just went into place though. So it's like I feel like it wouldn't immediately affect my results.
I think it's pure cyclical, to be honest. I mean, there will be periods where penny stocks is more favorable for traders, and maybe the companies release more interesting news and stuff. I mean, you can talk about cycles, intraday cycles. You can talk about weekly cycle, but I mean, there are yearly cycles too.
Yeah, I
mean,
think the main reason why you are right, Alex, is because we actually do see those penny stocks that are good, but they are just less common. Like we saw HCWB earlier in February, and we also saw IPA like the past week. Like CGTX was nice. Like I don't know.
I don't think necessarily that your success with pennies is gone forever, Kersey. I think that it's what has been working before probably will work again sometime in the future. But one day is never the same as another day. Like everything is unique within the market, and I purely think it's cyclical because nothing else like major have changed. That's been so major, so that the whole behavior of penny stocks has been like modified forever. I really doubt that.
And then, Kersey, can I ask you a question on the? You showed two bar graphs. One, the 2024, and then the 2025. And then the 2024, where everything is sub $1. Yeah, that guy. What you don't have there is the months. Can you recall when that was? And you'll see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull it up. Give me 1 second.
Because I did have this conversation with BMAC. I unfortunately I traveled a lot for work between September, October, and then settles down in November. And I was away, and I started seeing at the middle of September, definitely throughout October, and then the beginning of November, massive P&Ls on the chat, all coming from pennies. And I'm like, what the heck? And then up until then, the MMU chat Discord hadn't been anything about pennies. BMAC was the only one kind of doing it. And I remember you, Kersey, doing some penny trading pre-market, and then Ohad kind of like starting to do it. This is back September last year. So then I DM BMAC and I said, BMAC, this shit is exploding. What's happening? And why I'm not playing it? Because I was away. And he said, this particular cycle, this is what he said to me, comes once every 2 to 3 years. So where I'm going with this is that I think that 24-year data, so skewed to the sub $1 stock, is limited to something that just happens a little more rare. I think your data on the 2025 trading, I think, is going to be a little bit more realistic until we get a hot cycle like that.
So what you're basically saying is the hot 2024 September penny stock cycle was once every 3 years or 2 years. That's what you're saying?
I'm actually going to share it. This is what BMAC said. I'm going to share his, because I kept the DM.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, I really have to go with the kids. I have to put them to bed.
Nice to meet you, Alex.
Same to you guys.
Bye, Alex. It
We'll
was a
talk
good
soon.
call.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah. If you want to talk about something, just write in the chat. We can have another call.
Yeah, I think,
Perfect.
before you leave, Alex, just a quick note I want to share with everybody. So we have like the trade recap section in our server. Every time you guys think we should go through something that you want to talk about, just write it in chat and we will have to discuss it later.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have a good one, Alex.
All right.
Yes,
See you later, guys.
So he said, Kersey, just so you know, he said the cycles, the cycles is every 3 years.
Okay, do you think it's possible? I'm just curious. You said that it was on your DMs through Discord, if I'm correct. Do you think it's possible you could share it? Either taking a picture or like copy pasting it?
I think so. I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because I know BMAC's a great trader.
Not only that he's a
What?
great trader, he's a great penny trader. In our conversations, he's told me he doesn't buy anything over $1 anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Definitely found an edge and really hammered it.
And that's it. And then I think I'm actually going through his DMs right now, and I'm trying to see. At one point, I think he was explaining to me how he got into, because he's some sort of software engineer. He can code, he writes script, all that kind of stuff. He's created his own scanner, and I believe he has his own Discord for a fee. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Ohad was looking into potentially buying his scanner. Were you not?
I think I did wanted to, but he does have a free Discord, not a paid Discord.
I see.
If I am not mistaken, but
then I asked him, why would you not systematically trade? Why are you a systematic trader? And then he said, because it would be really hard to get the data I need, very expensive to get the data I need to set up a system that can buy pennies. So I use my discretion. And then he shared with me at one point, he's oh, there you go. Here, I'm gonna share this with you. This is his detail. I'm gonna put it in the chat. There we go. This is his detailed report. There you go.
What report is that for?
What's that?
Do you know what that report? What report that is for?
This is for his daily whatever that daily trade was, whatever that daily session was.
Okay.
But it goes back to
profit factor.
Yeah, but it goes back to the exact same thing we talked about. Look at his accuracy, 50.3%. But look at where the big difference is. Average hold time for the winning trades, 30 seconds. Average hold for the losing trades, 30 seconds. But he holds his winners a little bit longer than he holds his losers. It's exact. This is micro scalping at the best.
It's really interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I don't think there's necessarily a crazy secret sauce for us to. There's no desire for me to try to figure out what Ross does, because I know what he does. You can tell what he does. I mean, he may have hotkeys to be able to enter a trade using a very specific market maker. And that's what Marcelo was saying. I don't know if it's true, but I don't see it unreasonable. He can say, I want to buy ARCA. you know, and I'll buy ask, and he may have a little bit of data that if you buy a particular type of market maker, the likelihood of the other ones chasing is a little bit higher. But he baits, like he's setting up little traps for the market, and if people follow, he adds. If they don't follow, he cuts, and then he says, "Oh, it was a small win."
Yes.
Everything.
So the stats that you just shared about BMAC, is this one specific good day or like
No,
a period?
I think he holds a record, right? Like I don't think he lost ever again. I don't think he's had a red day ever.
Yeah, okay, but the specific like 15K total gain, is that from like
I'm gonna tell you the exact date because I was looking at the DM. This is the date of that. It had to be in the October fever
oh,
because
It-
because
Did
folks.
it? Did he say that he used direct routing to like ARCA?
Oh yeah. So Marcelo said that I said this is about like no less than that 6-7 months ago when I put a comment on the Discord saying I wonder what something like what Ross's secret sauce was, and this is what I remember. I said I kind of questioned and I said I have nothing against Ross and I wish him nothing but success, but there's something a little bit fishy about his executions that they're always perfect or something like that. Is he legit? And then I said, ask for people that have been in his warrior trading chat, and then tag